Locked On Coyotes, your daily podcast on the Arizona Coyotes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome, everyone, to the Locked On Coyotes podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm Robyn Leaño, joined by Kyle Pavlock, your wonderful host for this show, as we discuss Arizona Coyotes and Anaheim Ducks preseason game 2 tonight at around 7 p.m. So excited for that coming up. Before we get to that, though, I want to let you guys know that we're on YouTube now. If you haven't been able to, don't forget to subscribe because hitting that subscribe button lets you know whenever a new video drops and you can see our beautiful faces. But not only that, again, I just want to say also thanks to everyone for making Locked On Coyotes your first listen of the day because it's through all your support. I can tell all the support that you have. A lot of you guys have reached out to us, and we really enjoy the support that you give to us. That said, we can go ahead and get today's episode started. Once again, Arizona Coyotes, Anaheim Ducks tonight at around 7 p.m. Carl, this last game was a good win, the good win over the LA Kings. We talked about that in yesterday's episode. One thing we didn't touch on is, because we were still somewhat unsure of how it was going to be tackled, is how Andre Tourigny plans on tackling the rosters, because there's a lot of players that are on the training camp squad, and to my knowledge, none have been sent down yet or sent back to their junior squads yet. I know it's only been game one, so one game, so I don't expect that much movement. But it seems that that Tourigny has a system in place.
Yeah, I mean, when we're talking about NHL coaches, they tend to have a plan on how they want to run things. From what we've been hearing of what Tourigny said, it sounds like he's going to be maybe like alternating the roster for the first couple games. There were some notable names who didn't play in the last game. I expect we'll see them tonight against the Ducks. But I think there's also players like we had mentioned yesterday, Dylan Guenther, who's going to be probably playing in every single game, no matter what. And I'm kind of expecting Andrew Ladd to maybe be the case after our previous talk. So it'll be kind of an interesting mix of the same faces from Monday and a whole bunch of new people. Notable
absences from the previous game were Monday's game were Jacob Chychrun, Clayton Keller, Lawson Krause, Johan Larsson, Jay Beagle, Connor Timmins, Alex Galchenyuk, and Carter Hutton. A lot of names that you guys probably were looking like, hey, let's see how these guys can do. And you don't see them on the ice in game one. Now, not all of these guys are going to be on the ice game two either. And again, I think this is because based on what Tourigny was saying is he wants to have veterans slotted into the lineup in 4 of these 6 preseason games. And the rest is made up of the young guys.
Yeah. It's definitely a lot of very interesting roster moves. And I think a lot of it is just things that we're not going to know. Like, how well is someone doing at practice? Like, let's say Lawson Krause is just, putting in A+ effort like every single day. Tourigny is like, I don't need to see what you're doing in a game. I feel comfortable with you right now, but I have question marks about these guys. Maybe give them some more playing time. So it's just kind of like interesting to see like what kind of player choices we're going to be getting.
And I think a lot of that goes because Chychrun, Keller, Krause, and Larsson don't need to prove themselves at all because their roster spot is 100% secure. They're not. There's like they're safe. Like they don't have to worry about anything. So it's just like, let's just get you in a game just to warm you up. You don't need to worry about anything.
Yeah, it's fine. If you're Jacob Chychrun, like it's almost like, how many games do you think you need to be ready? Let's have that conversation.
Yeah.
You think you need like 5 before the beginning of the season? Cool. We'll get you 5 in there somehow. But then there's like a lot of player evaluation decisions that need to be made. So I'm sure like that's a delicate balance that, we're just need to trust the organization to be able to make.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see who will be in the lineup tonight. Just because based off how all we know now is all the rotating is who's going to be moved out, who's going to be moved in. We do know that over the next now 5 games, there's 5 games of preseason, that there's a lot of goaltenders to get out and give some kind of opportunity to, because we only saw Thornton and Kajanos on Monday. We still haven't seen Tendek. We still haven't seen Vejmelk. How do you pronounce it? I'm going to pronounce it. I'm going to try to get this right. Vejmelka. I was really close. I just had the A at the end. The Vejmelka. Still haven't seen Prosvetov, who we know is going to be most likely in Tucson. And we still haven't seen Hutton.
Yeah. Like, we haven't seen a lot, and those are definitely, like, goaltending is just a major question mark for the Coyotes. So, like, who is going to be the Coyotes starting goaltender? I don't really know if there's a definitive answer on that just yet. And so that's probably going to lead to a lot of preseason, like, swapping of goalies. And we're probably going to get a few more games like we did last time, where one guy plays half the game or 2 periods, the other's going to play the other half or the one. It'll definitely be interesting to see kind of like who's able to stand out amongst all of these contenders for the number 1 and number 2 spots.
It will be an interesting battle. I don't think I've ever really seen a goaltending battle like this. Like obviously, they brought in Hutton to be the veteran, and they have Kajanos as the pseudo backup. But obviously sometimes you have a number 3 in there to kind of be your emergency. You have your 2 in the AHL, and you have a couple in the ECHL. It's literally this battle is exactly where in the system are you going to be placed? Where are you going to be? Are you going to be the number 1 guy in Tucson? Are you going to end up being the backup in Rapid City?
Yeah, it's really a free for all right now. The only thing I can really compare to it is I remember when Mike Smith was first brought onto the Coyotes, like there was legitimate questions of who would be the starting goaltender versus him and Jason LaBarbera in training camp. And that was, I think, the last time the Coyotes were in a situation where they're like, who's going to be the starting goaltender? Because there's not a lot of like guaranteed good options. Like even with like Ronta and Kemper, it's like, which of the good goaltenders is going to be the Coyotes starter this season? This is like, who's going to be the sacrificial lamb in net?
And I think that's why, to be honest, that's why they brought in Hutton, to be sort of that person, because like, what else does he have left to give, in my opinion?
I definitely have, like, I do wonder, like, when he was brought in, how complete were the Coyotes thinking their destruction of their goaltending was going to be? Because, like, the Coyotes rebuild has been phenomenally efficient, and what they did to blow up their goaltending is truly astonishing. And I don't know if when Hunt was first brought in, they were like, yeah, we're going to have no one. You're going to be the starter.
Well, they signed Hutton in free agency. They traded Kemper the day before free agency, and they traded Hill a week before free agency, and they decided to let
Ronta
walk. So, they knew this was going to happen.
Sure. Yeah. I don't know. I got to reevaluate that. Man, you got me.
Those are the things you have to consider, because
Everything has happened so fast with the Coyotes. Like the
You lose
timeline is
track.
just yes,
You just lose track.
yes. Uh, Everything has just been happening so quickly and condensed. I didn't even know that. Uh, who is going to be starting for the Coyotes? We still don't know that, and it's first week of training camp. It's beautiful. I love it.
Now here's a question that could be a little bit easier, if based off the system Torney says he wants to do. Who's in net tonight? I'm assuming, like, I'll give you who I think first. I think Hutton will show up tonight,
Okay.
and then we'll also see David Tendek.
I was gonna go with Tendek too. I think that's a good like pairing because you got like the veteran and you got the younger player who's not necessarily Prosvetov. I would go same.
Yeah, I think Praspatov you save for like a little bit more of a complete roster.
Yeah,
Something that's like a little bit more together, just because he is the pseudo next man up. He is the future goaltender of the Arizona Coyotes. You
yeah.
don't want to put him in these smaller first couple of games.
I feel like Prosvetov's position with the team is secure in a way that not a lot of other players are, because he is going to be the Tucson Roadrunner starting goaltender.
Yeah, that's true. That's I think the safest position for the Coyotes right now is the Tucson Roadrunner starting goaltender.
Yes, and it's like a no-brainer. It's really like he needs to develop still. He needs some more time.
And you don't
He
want to
is
rush. You
good.
just don't want to rush him up. That's the
You
thing.
don't want to rush him up. The team's not going to be good, so he's not going to have the support in front of him. Like he's going to get, like you said, maybe a couple call-ups. He's first man up, but he needs the experience. So he's going to be in Tucson. Uh, Everyone else from the ECHL to the NHL, no clue.
That's what's going to be interesting. But those are my opinions. I think starting goaltenders for tonight's game against the Anaheim Ducks will be Carter Hutton, who I think will probably get the first two periods and then give Tendek the last period. I think that's how
Yeah.
they're going to do it.
Yeah, or I think the Kings did it closer to like a half and half. So like they just like in the
Right.
stoppage close to 10 minutes in the second. Um, either way,
Something around the lines like that.
yeah, something like that. Provided, knock on wood, like no one gets hurt during a preseason game because I don't expect the game with the Ducks to get to chippy action, but they're not like the Kings.
Or the Golden Knights, obviously, because you've seen what's happened with those two teams.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, one of the players that was responsible for that is gone from the Golden Knights. He's now over in the Eastern Conference. But
which is always nice to see someone go to another conference where you're like, glad we don't have to play them.
Exactly. But we still have more to get to discuss players and how they're going to match up on this on tonight's episode, or tonight's game against the Anaheim Ducks. Coming up, we will talk about a couple forwards and maybe even do some defensive expectations, because defense, again, we know a little more of.
Yeah, definitely. But before we do that, does this sound familiar? You've got one device that lets you catch the game live, another that lets you stream your favorite shows, you're watching sports highlights on your phone, and you've got your neighbor's best friend's login for the good stuff. Well, I want to tell you about a simple way to get all that entertainment you love without the hassle, and a great way to finally get your TV together. It's called Directv Stream, and it brings your live TV and on-demand favorites together like never before, so you can watch your favorite sports, movies, and shows all in one place. That means no more juggling remotes and no need to buy another device ever again. And the best part, there's no annual contract. So get rid of the clutter and the confusion and get your TV together with DirecTV Stream. You can learn more at directv.com. That's directv.com. Compatible device required. Content varies by package.
Today's episode also brought to you by Built Bar. Did you know that Built Bar has so many delicious flavors? There's absolutely something for everyone. When you talk to a Built Bar fan, they're definitely passionate about their favorites. If you don't know all the flavors, you got raspberry, mint brownie, salted caramel, cookies and cream, German chocolate, and the list goes on and on. All of them absolutely delicious. I've told you my favorite is Churro Puff, one of the limit times from earlier this year. That was just a really soft, really delicious one. Takes me back to, let's say, going to like a baseball game or something like that, and you get a little churro. Obviously, it doesn't taste fully like a churro, but it has that flavor and it tastes amazing. So definitely one of my favorite protein bars out there. If you haven't tried all the flavors, you get a mix box too. We get 2 of each of the 9 flavors, and then from there you can, mix and match or just maybe just get a box of one flavor of you can do that. But again, not only are they healthy, not only are they best tasty, but they're also healthy too. 17, 18 grams of protein, 130, 180 calories, 4 to 5 grams of sugar, and only 4 to 5 grams net carbs. And if you guys go to built.com and use the promo code LOCKED15, you get 15% off your order. Once again, use the promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at built.com. All right, back here on Locked On Coyotes. Once again, Robyn, Leaño, and Kyle Pavlock, as we're getting ready to discuss tonight's game. Once again, thanks to everyone listening to this episode as part of your first listen to the day, because we know a lot of you guys really enjoy listening to us on your commutes. You guys have told me that, and I really, really appreciate that. But let's get to a little bit more of tonight's game. Once again, the Coyotes and the Anaheim Ducks. Let's start. What do you think? Should we do forwards now?
Yeah, let's do forwards.
All right. So forwards, we still have a little more to get to. I think, as you heard me mention, that there are still a few guys we didn't see. We didn't see Clayton Keller in the previous game. We didn't see Lawson Krause or Johan Larsson or Jay Beagle or Alex Galchenyuk. Which, I mean, obviously we're not going to see all of them tonight. Which do you think will probably slot in a little bit easier? I think Galchenyuk will probably maybe get his slot in.
Galchenyuk, and one player that you didn't mention that I don't want to forget about, Dimitri Yoshkin.
That's right.
Yeah, haven't seen him. I can see either Galchenyuk or Yoshkin slotting in with Keller tonight, and a line centered by Larsson. That seems like a pairing that I would kind of want to see what you can do with.
Yeah, that would be a really interesting one. And I think eventually to see exactly how, like Louis Eriksson and he played on Monday, but how does he go alongside some of his old teammates? Because there's that option too.
Sure. I think, like I said previously, we're going to see a couple of players who played yesterday. Definitely, Eriksson seems like he'd be a good candidate to just be like, let's play him almost every game of this preseason, just to kind of make sure that he's ready and see what his options are for like where he can slot in with people throughout the season.
Yeah, I think that like he is definitely one that would need it. I think especially since he had an extremely limited season last year. Like I'm reading, like I'm looking at his stat sheet. He only played 7 games with Vancouver last year.
Ew.
7 games. That is not a lot of games. So you want to play them in all these preseason games to be like, all right, are you truly ready here? Because you better be.
Especially because it is the Arizona Coyotes, and it's like we need warm bodies right now. So Eriksson, lace up. Do you think that just becomes a decision that switches like 3/4 of the way through the season, where you're just like, all right, Eriksson, we're gonna have the rookies play now just to get them the ice time.
Yeah, I mean, I think. And I think based off how things are looking and based off how that was, I mean, Eriksson wasn't really injured in any way through the last of the season. He just got scratched. Maybe we'll see that too this season. Maybe like they'll play him most of this, just kind of see how he slots in with other people, and then eventually say, all right, you're an extra player. You will be like the 13 forward that we put in like for back-to-back games or whatever, and we're just like that we just throw you in there because X person needs a break.
Yeah, you're going to be, really good at practices. You're going to be the veteran who kind of keeps the room like engaged, and you're going to like do what needs to be done. I could definitely see that for a lot of guys on the team. But I mean, I think the Coyotes are going to be in such an interesting way where, like, if you're a veteran who can, put together a decent enough season, you're going to get an opportunity with the Arizona Coyotes this year because there's not too much like standing in the way. So it's definitely going to be a fun season for those kind of guys, and I think we're going to start to see that in preseason with guys like Eriksson, like who's going to just like tough it out and be like, hey, they overachieved at training camp. They're going to stick around all year.
Yeah, it is amazing to me, like to think about how many players are actually fighting for a roster spot. Like I don't think it happens too often. You see, obviously, because right now I'm looking on because when I look on the Coyotes cap friendly page, they have 14 forwards listed, and that's just on the roster. And you have all the people who we know are still fighting for, trying to fight for a roster spot in Gunther and Hayton and Michelli and Kirk and McCartan. Now, most of them are going to be back in Tucson. And then people like Gunther might make the roster spot and will send back to Edmonton after a while.
Yeah.
But oh my God, I didn't realize how many forwards are actually trying to get a spot here.
Yeah, it's one of those like it's a cliche that like everyone's fighting for a roster spot at an NHL training camp, and I think we all know that that's like just not true. Like there are definitely like players who, by nature of a lot of things, are all but guaranteed a spot. But for the Coyotes this year, like the reason we keep saying there's so many questions about this roster is because like no one is really guaranteed anything this year. I think like half the spots are guaranteed, but you could definitely see like just anyone being a dark horse contender to make this team.
Yeah, and again, because I don't like. I think these two, like I think for example, like Liam O'Brien, he played on Monday, but like, how much of him have I really heard?
No,
nothing at
no.
all.
Yeah, he doesn't have a lot of buzz. He doesn't really make the projected rosters that we see, but like that doesn't mean that he's not going to make the team. I think there's just like an assumption that players like Eriksson, Roussel are going to make it because they have like the bigger contracts. But I mean, we may not get our multi-million-dollar fourth line. We may get someone like O'Brien in there.
So you mean to tell me I might not be able to make my T-shirts?
I mean, we'll still make the T-shirts because it'll happen at some point.
It will definitely happen at some point.
Yeah, we'll just wait until like the game happens, go fast fashion style, and then just pump them out. We'll be strategic about it.
I can't wait until I can do that, and then like just have them out, have as many people buy them as possible because they will look awesome.
It is like the perfect potential hockey meme shirt. I always see them, and I almost always want one, but I don't want to, necessarily buy one. But that's just, the perfect one.
I mean, I've seen a lot of great shirts out there, and there were some like I've probably gone to the checkout page for some of them, and I'm just like, do I do it? Do I do it? Do I hit buy right now? Do I do it? Do I do it? And then like I get a text message like it's like, hey, by the way, coming into work today. I'm like, oh yeah, hold on, and I just close my laptop and I leave.
I'm at the point in my life where I'm like, nope. If I start buying T-shirts like that over the internet, I'm not going to stop for a while, and I do not have the money to dedicate to a complete wardrobe change.
Absolutely, but again, T-shirts will still be coming. We just don't know when because we don't know the status of the Coyotes forwards.
We don't know the fourth line yet, so we can't print T-shirts.
Heck, we don't even know the first line yet.
We don't know any lines. It's all a mystery. But it's getting clearer every day, and yeah, we
Absolutely.
can talk about the defenseman pretty soon.
Yeah, and I think now would be a good time to talk about the 10th defenseman. So we'll do that in literally just a sec. But first, I want to let you guys know we're back in better than ever, and all eyes are back on the gridiron as teams are back to start another football season. As always, BetOnline is your number one spot for all the pro and college football action this season. With the new updated site and interface, even more odds, props, and contests, BetOnline.ag continues to be the number one source for everything football. Head to the website and use a mobile device. Sign up today to receive your 100% welcome bonus. That is double your initial deposit just for signing up. Don't forget to use the promo code NFL100. From football, basketball, boxing, including hockey, right down to your favorite Vegas casino games. Don't wait to take advantage of all the great offers for the 2021 season. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite sports. BetOnline.ag, your online sportsbook experts. All right, Carl, now let's get to defense because it's a little bit more easy to kind of figure out who's going to be on defense and what players are going to be in these preseason games. And yes, we already know the players that the most likely 7 defensemen that we're going to see on any given night once the opening roster comes. But there are still people we haven't seen. We still haven't seen Connor Timmins.
We haven't seen Connor Timmins. We haven't seen Soderstrom. Like, there are a lot of really good Coyotes defensemen that we need to see, and I anticipate they're going to be a couple of them at least getting their start tonight.
And we still need to see the Vladislavs.
The Vladislavs. I almost forgot about the Vladislavs. They were phenomenal in the rookie face-off tournament. I anticipate we will get a chance to see them, sometime during preseason, and I think they'll be better than people expect.
I mean, I expect Provorov probably to get a few more opportunities. Like, let's say out of the 6 preseason games, probably like 3 to 4 of them.
Yeah. I mean, we were talking before about like potential candidates. Provorov is like, I would say, a very serious contender for a roster spot based off of what I saw at the rookie face-off tournament, and the fact that he, as an older player, like came early and did a rookie tournament just to kind of show like, I am in this. I am going to go all out for a spot, and I think he played well enough to potentially earn one.
Absolutely, and that's that's just some of the things that you had to consider out. Obviously, going through all these preseason games because there are 6 preseason games, which is feels like a lot, but it's really not that much because we're already going game 2 tonight. That's crazy.
Yeah, it definitely feels like it should be longer. I think because everything else has been compressed and now we're somewhat normal. You're like, I feel like normal should be longer.
Well, you
Like,
know what? Why it also feels like it should be longer?
Why?
Because like NFL has like what 4 weeks of preseason. Well, obviously it's only 4 games, but still.
Yeah, like it is coming up fast. Hockey, meaningful hockey, is almost going to be here, which is great. And then player I'm kind of curious about for this upcoming preseason is Capobianco. What do we
Right?
make of
Yeah.
him? I do kind of wonder. I think this is a very important year in his career because he's getting up there in terms of age. Like, it's time to kind of like see if he's ready to be an NHL defenseman or if he's going to be in the AHL for his career.
I think because here's my tough thing about Capobianco is because he's had so many opportunities and he's really made that jump several times in his career. He's looked like he's getting ready to make the jump, and then an injury happens or COVID happens or whatever it is. Something keeps him from completing the season, and I feel so bad for him that that's the case. The unfortunate thing is this defense actually looks really pretty decent this upcoming year, that he's probably going to be either like the number 7 defenseman in Arizona in Glendale, or the number 1 defenseman in Tucson. Like
it is really rough for him. Like only Kyle Capobianco would have his like team destroy their defensemen in a rebuild and yet somehow build it back. I don't want to say better, but maybe. Like there was just like no room for him the past couple years, and then the Coyotes just get rid of everyone, but still there's no room for him.
But here's the thing: what do you do though? Because do you give him because you want to give him ice time and you want to give him the shot in the NHL, but there are 6 better defensemen than him, but at the same time, you don't the longer you keep him in Tucson, the less beneficial it is, especially since he's in a contract year.
I mean, honestly, at this point, I think if he doesn't get a roster spot on opening day, the team is going to look into trading him while he still has value. There was talk that he would go for Anton Strowman, and then the deal still happened, and Kyle Capobianco wasn't a part of it, which was fascinating. I have to say,
more draft picks.
Yeah, it was like, didn't we protect him at the expansion draft to make that deal happen? But then he wasn't needed for the deal to happen. What? Yeah. And I think that kind of says what his position with the team is. If that is the case where he was on the trading block, we've kind of seen if you are on the trading block for the Coyotes, you're gonna get traded.
We knew this going into the rebuild. We knew no player would be safe, with the exception of Chychrun. We knew if there's one player who's safe, it's Chychrun, and literally everyone else is just you're watching your back every single second, because there could be you could get either a phone call, a text message, or just a knock on the door from Bill Armstrong. He's like, "Hey, by the way, you're headed to Nashville." What?
And we've definitely seen things in the past where sometimes it is a text message. Hopefully Armstrong is giving him a call, but it's probably their agents.
Let's be fair. Let me also be fair. Is at least Armstrong is giving players the courtesy of actually letting them know they're traded.
Yeah, I will say this. So on 5 for Howling yesterday, I wrote about Connor Timmins, and a big thing that was coming up in a lot of Denver articles was Timmins is a good, solid defensive prospect. There is no room for him on this team. One article, the headline called him the poor man's Kalmaker. Sorry. Yeah. And that was just phenomenal to see. And I feel like Capobianco is perpetually in that same spot. I don't think he is as good as Timmins. I think Timmins is has a higher chance of being a top 4 NHL defenseman, but I think Capobianco could definitely be a solid contributor on a team that has the space for him to develop.
And I think that's why having him as the number 7 right now is probably his best option.
Yeah. Unless he just is able to come in and wow. I feel let's just say this. There's no all these players who are brought in, Shayne Gostisbehere, Anton Strowman, even older players like Ilya Lyubushkin, is their spot really guaranteed? Could a player like Capobianco go out there and take a roster spot from Ilya Lyubushkin? Anything could happen. I don't know what kind of offseason Capobianco has had. I don't know what kind of offseason Lyubushkin's had. He could have been working his ass off day in and day out to get a spot, and he's going to surprise us.
It could very well happen. Could very well happen. I really hope the best for Kyle Capobianco. I've been watching him since the early years in Tucson, and I'm like, I like him. I think he still has a lot to improve on. Like at the time, but I like him. Didn't give us much love when like who were some of the players I really liked, like Connor Garland and Dylan Strome and Nick Merkley. I'm like, I like these guys rather than it's like, I kind of like this guy.
He has definitely been like on the prospect radar for Coyotes fans, like for this entire time. And it's very frustrating that he like just never really seemed to have the chance to break through no fault of his own. And those are kind of like the prospects that are very easy to fall in love with. The ones who are just like putting in the effort, you can tell, and just like for whatever reason, the system isn't letting them maybe live up to their full potential.
Absolutely. One more thing I do want to address too about the defense is how often do you think we'll see the bear pair on defense?
I hope a lot. Like, give me all of the bears.
I mean, it just sounds amazing, right? The bear pair.
The universe is never good enough to give us that kind of sweet pairing, so
I mean, sure there have been some clever line nicknames based off the player names, and if you can't take advantage of two defensemen whose nickname is Bear, like,
I mean, don't get me wrong, I write for a Coyotes blog, and not a lot of people, I think, know Lyubushkin's name is the Dancing Bear or the Russian Bear.
The Russian Bear.
Yeah, so I would love to be able to be like the one to bring that to the masses along with you.
We will speak it into existence, Kyle. We will speak this into existence that almost every single game this preseason, we will at least see a little bit of the bear pair.
The universe is not kind enough to let the bear pair be a thing in the season. I want it to be the case. It's never going to happen because it would be too good. Like, there's just a block on stuff like that happening because they're too good.
How is it not possible, though? Because, like, I could see, like, we've talked about potential line pairings. Gostisbehere and Lyubushkin it's a very possible defensive pairing.
Their styles do match up. I will.
And not only that, one's a left side defenseman, one's the right side defenseman. It works.
It does. It works too much. It's I
will keep manifesting it, Kyle. I will continue to try to manifest it.
Manifest it into existence. I am way too cynical to think the universe will give us the bear pair. It seems too good to be true.
We'll try to get it done. I'll do what I can to try to get that done.
Yes, you keep up the good fight.
Good stuff. I think we're running out of time today rather than just rambling on about defensive pairings and nicknames and all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
Anyways, thanks to everyone for listening to this episode. If you like what you heard, don't forget to leave a review and to subscribe if you get to already. We're available everywhere you get your podcasts, including now on YouTube. Find us on the Locked On Coyotes YouTube channel. Don't forget to also interact with us on social media. I'm personally at Rob Leaño1. Kyle Pavlock at Kyle Pavlock FFH. And then, of course, at LO_Coyotes. Interact with us, ask us any questions. We will answer them on a future episode of the Locked On Coyotes podcast. Carl, any last things you want to say right before we put on the closing tagline?
Buy the shirts. Buy our future shirts.
Be prepared for those shirts to come out. Absolutely. Thanks again, everyone, for listening to today's episode. Hope you guys are staying safe out there. Hope you guys are staying healthy. And don't forget to howl on.